Plumis is working with the Disruptive Innovators Network and running a 12-week discovery program. It's a chance for social housing providers to trial our award-winning technology and learn why it's changing the way people think about domestic fire protection. So Automist offers a slightly different proposition to traditional sprinkler systems. First and foremost, it's easy to retrofit as it connects to a normal domestic water supply. It can reduce lifetime costs because it uses considerably less water, and it means you can future-proof homes by its upgradability, which includes the option of adding IoT connectivity. So, what's an Automist installation? Well, in an apartment just like this, you'll see our heads distributed throughout the property. They're all connected up via a dry pipe. You have a pump which puts the water up to pressure when the system activates. And then you've got a key part, which is mounted detectors, which is the initial trigger for the system. So in an emergency, you'll have that fire growing within the space, and the nearest alarm will send a message to the nearest head, and then that head will start scanning the room. So you can see it here, and what we're doing is we're building a thermal image of the protected space. And that's made possible by this infrared sensor mounted on the unit that measures the temperature. Once it has pinpointed the location of the fire, it locks on and then deploys a targeted blade of water mist. The system uses 5.6 liters of water, so less than a power shower, to deliver industry standard fire performance. Now, we've tested it against the fire performance in BS8458. What you'll see here is the benefit of our approach on this particular type of fire. And you'll see in the room protected by Automist, we get activation approximately 2 minutes before the residential sprinkler. We're able to put out that fire with 3 liters of water, whereas with the traditional system, it took considerably longer and approximately 80 liters of water. Limit that amount of consequential water damage. Now, another reason why Automist is different is because we're looking to address multiple stages of the fire's development. So if we break it down into 4 pieces, we've got the stage before the fire, the activity that the occupant is doing. We've then got the early stages of the fire. We've got when the fire is growing, then finally when it becomes dangerous. A traditional sprinkler's proposition, where it provides value, is at this point, you need to build up a significant amount of heat to break that glass bulb, the actuator for the ceiling mounted system. Therefore, if you are close to the fire, you can also be at risk. So it waits till this later stage before they activate. What we're trying to do is to try and consider some of the stages before. So with detection being integral to our system, you can connect it to your early warning, you can have it send a message, and all of these things can prevent an incident before they occur. And of course, as you've seen from the video, for certain fire types, you get a benefit of earlier activation. And this is important because what we're trying to do is get everyone to escape and limit the production of smoke. So this DINLab is an opportunity to trial the system. You can get it installed in at least 2 properties at a discounted rate, and it will give you an opportunity to learn about the system, but also contribute to our product development roadmap. We're really here to try and understand the needs of our customers, and also convey how the lifetime cost savings that become possible with our technology. So in order to explain this, I'm going to talk a little bit more about a possible life cycle cost for a traditional sprinkler system, and then explain how Automist and our connected solution compare. So here you can see the value over time. We've got below the line the costs that occurred whilst the sprinklers up and available. And then above the line, we've got the value that that cost presents. So initially, you would get a quote. So if you were to install a no thrills BS9252 system from a standard installer, you'd have an equipment cost and installation. And on top of that, you would also have to account for the water supply costs. So that might be the introduction of a tank or upgrading your supply in order to feed the system. And then you would have the system checked once it's installed, and you would get confirmation through a certificate that had been installed in accordance with the standard so that that installation was compliant. Then a year later, you'd have another maintenance check. This is the industry standard annual compliance checks. And every time that you did this, you would also get another confirmation that the system, it would be tested and verified that it is ready to act. Now, the difficulty or the problem with this is that if a minor fault is introduced in between these maintenance checks, then it's not necessarily going to get picked up until the next maintenance cycle. Now, sprinklers don't just activate in fires. Boisterous tenant behavior can cause activations. A result of breaking that glass bulb is water damage and potentially relocation costs for any individual in that flat. Now, it's also important to not ignore that sprinklers do provide very good uh, fire protection qualities. So if you do have a fire, you will get the proven property protection and life safety that the systems provide. But inversely, you will also have that consequential water damage and potential relocation whilst you're putting that, making that property fit to inhabit again. So essentially, all I'm saying here is that the consequence of installing a traditional sprinkler is that if you have a significant fault or a fire, in both cases, there is a water damage consequence to consider in the life cycle costs. Okay, so with standard Automist installation, you get a comparable service, but with a few key differences. So initially, you've got your equipment and installation cost, but we can follow the same model where you have a compliance check, a commissioning certificate that's issued after the installation. But one difference that we do provide is, as standard, you have a digital record of that installation. So if we take this one here, we capture the details of where the equipment is installed within the property to ensure that it is designed within our guidelines, and we have a commissioning certificate that captures all of the information, including who installed it, the serial numbers of the equipment, even the pressure on the individual heads. It is quite a similar model to what you would see with the existing sprinkler system. The difference comes in if a boisterous tenant is intent on breaking one of the heads, then you do have a hardware repair cost. And similarly, if you have a fire, the system will activate, you get that suppression taking place, you get the property and the life safety benefits that you would with a sprinkler. But again, you're limiting the amount of damage, the water damage that takes place and the relocation costs because you don't have that 60 liters of water as a consequence of action. With Automist, you can future-proof your homes because the installation infrastructure can be upgraded over time. We are actually trialing, and you're welcome to give it a go, a connected version of the product. Rather than an installation fee, you have a setup fee, and this could subsidize the cost of the equipment. But because this unit is now connected to the internet, we've got a real-time record of whether the system is going to perform. So this would sit alongside that digital record. And as long as you were paying that service fee, and perhaps on an annual basis, we'd have an inspection of the equipment, you could have confidence that the system would perform. perhaps a monthly fee might be one way of delivering this. So, as with the previous case, if a boisterous tenant was intent on damaging one of the heads, of course they could do that. But in this case, you would then get an alert, and our engineer would come out to fix the unit, and that service could be built into the existing fee, which you're already paying for. And if you even were to have a fire, there are some benefits there in minimizing the damage and for life safety, because that alert can either be connected to the fire service or to M&E, so that they can check on that property after a specific incident, and therefore you get that those additional benefit in terms of minimizing the damage as a consequence of that fire incident. Because you've installed this infrastructure within the property, there is the opportunity to get more value from the sensors within that dwelling. So, if, for example, the council is interested in achieving carbon net zero, you could switch on some data services to meet that objective. Perhaps you might say in a subset of your properties, that's something that is important to you. Let's switch on that service. You might be interested in monitoring whether particular homes are fit for human habitation. And again, you could select as an optional upgrade to monitor a certain number of dwellings. Well, how can we achieve this? Well, we can use these sensors within the home to start to get a thermal picture of the characteristics of that space. So we might use it to, for example, reduce the tenant's heating bills by connecting this to their thermostat. The landlords could also use it to identify fuel poverty. Over time, we might even upgrade specific heads in order to monitor air quality, and even look to use the sensors to monitor behavior to prevent damp. Further applications could be identifying people in a fire, vulnerable person monitoring, and even data-driven appointment scheduling, again made possible by switching on optional data services from the individual head for the connected solution. Automist can offer a very different value proposition and service to the standard solution you get with a traditional sprinkler system. This is primarily made possible by the fact that, one, we're introducing detection with our system as standard, which means you can operate earlier. And secondly, because we're using significantly less water, we can minimize the amount of water damage that happens in an incident. And for those who would like to try something else different, there is our connected solution that has the same water damage reduction qualities, but can also offer real-time compliance and the opportunity to upgrade to enable a host of new data services over time. Now, there are situations for any social housing provider when a sprinkler, Automist, or a connected Automist could be a cost-effective and the most appropriate solution. You might only be interested in a connected solution, and some of those data services may be relevant and some of them might not be. This is what we hope to understand from this 12-week discovery program. So it's a really great opportunity to learn about and steer the technology that we're developing. More information is available by contacting Jenny Danson. Her email address is there. The participation fee there includes contribution towards the cost of a real life installation. And as I said, it's a really good way for our partners to learn more about our systems and for us to learn more about them. So I hope this is of interest. And if so, I look forward to seeing you on the program. Thank you for listening.